Bleak Faith Forsaken is out for nearly 2 months, and let's just say it's been a roller coaster for a lot of people. It still has overall mixed reviews, with recent reviews being mostly positive. So after 2 months, I decided to revisit the game for another playthrough to see what's going on with it. How you going? How you going? Mighty Melvo here. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather today. Today we're checking out Bleak Faith Forsaken again to see if the game is playable/enjoyable now, to see if it's still being supported by the devs, and of course to try to answer some important questions like, is it worth spending 30 buckaroos on it now? And how's the future looking for the game? This video is probably gonna be a shorter one, but I will try to fully pack it with information, and I'll read a lot of screenshotted messages from Bleak Faith Forsaken devs.
Dog shit.
Also, from this point in the video, all the game footage is me playing an up-to-date version of the game to avoid confusion. Before we continue on, I'd like to point out that as much as I don't want to be biased on the subject, I probably am, to some extent at least.
No shit.
I mean, I like Bleak Faith Forsaken with all its hiccups, and I'm enjoying my time in Omnistructure. Though, I'm not making this video to change your mind. Quite the opposite. If you don't like the game or disagree with my points, let me know about it in the comments. Let's have a civilized conversation before starting a knife fight. Let me go through this briefly just to scratch the surface. What is Bleak Faith Forsaken? It's an action RPG developed by a 3-piece indie dev studio from Montenegro, Archangel Studios. The game has a strong emphasis on Souls games inspired exploration, difficult combat, and boss encounters. And it is set in probably the most depressive place ever, called Omnistructure. Seriously, the whole thing looks like a crackhead's fever dream. You progress and become stronger by obtaining and upgrading items instead of collecting souls to upgrade your stats. Since launch, the game has been criticized by many for being unfinished, unpolished, buggy, and even unplayable, and I can't say that I agree with all the statements above. Is it playable now? Well, the game was playable from the get-go, and it still is playable from start to finish. You can finish the game within, I'd say, 15 to 25 hours depending on your playstyle. Much more enjoyable now though. And what about bugs? There are still some bugs and glitches and just general lack of polish here and there, like the camera clipping through environments sometimes, but it's all tolerable if you are coming in not expecting Elden Ring level of polish. Like if you're coming in after reading all the negative reviews on Steam, looking to find crap, you'll find it.
That is one big pile of
Bugs.
Bleak Faith Forsaken is still being heavily supported by the devs, which is really cool. If you go to Steam right now, you'll find 18 patch notes. 18! With the latest one being uploaded on the 25th of April. There's also a massive update or two coming in a span of 2 months, according to Archangel Studio Discord posts/messages we will talk about a bit later. I don't want to go through each and every fix and change implemented so far, but some of them really deserve being highlighted. For instance, you can skip most long ladders now. There's still no sliding down animation, that sort of thing. You're just being teleported back and forth, and only if you've already gone down or up at least once. It sounds like nothing, but it can save you some extra time. You can spend sliding down ladders in Dark Souls 3 after you finally beat Pontiff Sullivan. The short ones and the ones that lead into water have this feature disabled. There are a total of 21 achievements added now. Annoying pop-up tutorials are now once per character instead of once per session. Some video tutorials are different now and explain certain features better. Oh, and cloud saves are now enabled. I've mentioned it in one of my previous videos, but I'll say it again. Bleak Faith has now full controller support, and it feels great compared to how it was in the beginning. For me, it was pretty much impossible to use an Xbox One controller. I don't know. This message here by Uberfaith42, one of the Bleak Faith devs, says that, nah, the controller support has existed long before launch. We've done successful tests on largely every common controller. The main issue that caused most of the negative feedback was that we left a lot of configuration up to the player. The vast majority of players did not feel like tinkering with the settings. Now this sounds like gaslighting to me, correct me if I'm wrong. Leaving configuration and tinkering to a player in a full-blown release with a $30 price tag is just ludicrous. Look, I'm no businessman, but I think that successfully selling your product actually includes providing the best experience and delivering the product that does not require tinkering. And yeah, man, I know it's just a message from Discord, it's not an official statement or anything, but it sounds a lot like what EA are doing about Jedi Survivor. It's not us who is wrong, it's your PC. It's not us who is wrong, it's you're not doing enough tinkering. Anyways, I'm not trying to roast or anything, controller support wasn't there for me. Now it's there and I'm happy. You can also find tons and tons of other changes and fixes if you go through the patch notes. There's really a lot. When it comes to performance, there's nothing much to say, really. I was impressed with Bleak Faith Forsaken's performance from day one. It runs very smooth on my rig with minor stuttering when traversing to a different location, for example. I mean, performance as far as I know was never an issue for the majority of players, so that's that. No need to talk about it too much. It performed well, it still holds up. My specs are in the description if you're curious. Before we talk about what Bleak Faith has in store in the near future, I'd like to casually remind you that if you want to support my channel, the best way to do so is to subscribe now and interact with this or any other video on this channel in any shape or form. I massively appreciate it. Cheers! Now let's talk about what this video was about originally. The huge Bleak Faith Forsaken update that is coming this month actually. In fact, there will be 2 massive updates, according to the devs. Here's another message from UberFaith42. The huge update is coming next month, probably in a month from now, whatever Friday that falls on. The rest will be lighter patches. We do have plans to polish a lot more things as well and address more feedback that we've noticed. We just need to make this one more step into expanding the core features, then we can focus on perfecting instead of expanding. And here's what the official announcement says. Update 1 that is coming in May will contain a new Game Plus option in a more traditional form that will scale all enemies up to make them tougher than you are. Hello, Red Knights. There's also code for New Game Plus Plus, but we will have to wait for feedback from the community. Bottom line is, New Game Plus is gonna make everything hard to kill. We are also promised content improvements. As per this announcement, the devs are combing through the world map and upgrading areas that were lacking and adding more content to make exploration more enjoyable. That's very cool. There are still a lot of dead ends in the game. To top that up, we should expect new weapons, armor sets, and capes. Capes look fantastic in Bleak Faith, by the way. And there will be some huge mystery features in experimental form for all to find. Update 1 will skyrocket the replayability and give even seasoned vets a reason to go back and try their hand at things again. I'd also like to mention that there is a possibility of Bleak Faith Forsaken appearing in GOG again, according to this message, saying that the devs have in mind reigniting the conversations with GOG reps in regards to delivering the game back to the platform. Update 1 and 2 will likely have falling/jumping attacks added since it's been widely requested. I'm really excited for the new things. We also know that Archangel Studios are working on the update trailer, and it should land sometime soon. So, is Bleak Faith Forsaken worth buying? Man, Bleak Faith is an unpolished good game, and in my opinion, an unpolished good game is better than a polished bad game. Here's my list of pros and cons. Pros. The world of Omnistructure is well crafted and peculiar. Level design is exceptional, the world is interconnected. Beautiful art direction. Arguably deep combat with lots of tools to use. And constant support from the devs is also a very strong pro. Cons. The game is janky, and I don't think that there's much that can be done about that. Often the game doesn't reward major exploration. Camera often go through walls, especially when fighting in tight areas. No sense of direction sometimes, there's none. Look, I have Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Kiro, Born background as well, just like most of you probably. I like when there's no hand holding, but in Bleak Faith Forsaken sometimes you just lack a direction. Seriously, sometimes you just don't know where to go. And that could be a problem for some people. It's still quite rough around the edges, but I think now is the time, if not to pick it up, then to take a closer look and wait for the promised updates. Bleak Faith Forsaken is in a much better shape now, and I have no regrets about getting it on day one. But anyways, it's my opinion. What's yours? Are you in for the ride already or still considering buying it? As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks for watching and have a good one. See ya.